Welcome to the M5 show, your home for proper Arsenal insight, passion and discussion. Tonight we've got a massive episode lined up. Fresh off a 4-1 demolition in a North London derby, Smugs and Jim are here to break down every moment of that Arsenal dominant performance, the key tactical wins, standout performances and what the result means for the title race. We'll also be looking ahead to a huge week in the Champions League. Bayern Munich come to the Emirates on Wednesday night. And then Arsenal head to Stamford Bridge for a top versus second clash at the Bridge. And of course, we've got our fan favourite segment, Ask Jim, where your questions take centre stage. Plus, tonight, an exclusive Jimbo giveaway, a brand new SA10 Arsenal home shirt with the Premier League badges on this for the best question of the night. So settle in, get involved in the chat, send your questions and enjoy the show because North London is red. And tonight, we celebrate Arsenal spanking Tottenham. Good night to Spurs. Good morning to Jim. How you doing, mate?
Oh, mate, I'm just on cloud fucking nine, geez, to be honest. There's no better day in your WhatsApps the morning after the night before when you absolutely put them to the sword, is there? I mean, you just want to let every single person have it double hard. So, yeah, what a game, mate! And I just enjoyed sort of the old kind of cliche version of like, what is Smugs okay alert after? Because I imagine London got painted with a few lagers as well after that one.
Oh, you can say that again, mate. London certainly got painted. It was only painted two colours, wasn't it? Red and white.
Absolutely.
Absolute dominant. But do you know what? Before we go into that performance, just want to have a bit of a kind of discussion about the Ask Jim segment tonight. Obviously, you're doing a giveaway.
Yeah, look, I just thought, one of the things that we've always wanted to do with the show is just be incredibly interactive to what is already like an incredible fan base that you've generated and you've worked so hard on. And I, for being someone who's done over 300 games home and away myself, I know the absolute effort that goes into just supporting a team at that level. And whilst we're a global football club and people get up of all hours and it's a huge part of their life, the contribution that goes into sort of going home and away and putting all the time in and all of the effort in, we don't want it to go unrewarded. So when we have moments of just absolute magic like that, first North London derby hat-trick in nigh on 50 years, I think it's really important that we give back to the community that just do a little thing like give us their time. So I'm sure Eberici's going to steal a lot of content from us tonight. So very fitting that the best question in our segment is an Eberici memorabilia.
And yeah, certainly is. And obviously, what a first ever North London derby for Eberici. Hat-trick on his own turf. As we said the other week, it was a bit of a shame that obviously his first goal come at the Emirates against Crystal Palace, which kind of was a watered down celebration due to his respect of his former club. But boy, he got to celebrate Sunday, didn't he?
Well, I guess in essence, his first goal was Port Vale in the League Cup, but his first Premier League goal, was that phenomenal goal at Palace. And he's somebody who's stolen a lot of the debate as to whether or not he's settling in properly. And I feel like Arsenal players have somewhat been the topic of, whether they've been good signings or not. And the media are just trying to spin up anything they possibly can to find a reason to not praise us at the moment. But, if you just play that whole story back and you really dilute it, what a Cinderella story moment it is. We know of his affiliations with a football club where he kind of cut his teeth as an academy project. Obviously, things can happen in football, and at that point in time, he didn't stay at the Arsenal. He's been really, really vocal, actually, and very honest about his journey in the game, which is very different to many, where he's had a lot of rejections, a lot of no's, had to go down the leagues, got through to QPR, went out on loan, went to Wickham. League One, did great, Championship did great, got his breakthrough at Palace, was phenomenal for them. Part of a revolution, really, if you think about at Palace, about taking them to cup glory for the first time in in God knows how many years. And, you know, you talk to Palace fans, especially from the part of the world we're from, where we know quite a few of them, and they celebrate him, you know, because he was part of history for them. You know, he comes to his boyhood club, walks out at Leeds, 60,000 people going bonkers. It looks like it's a dream come true. Gets an assist in his first full home debut against Forest for Gyökeres. Scores against Port Vale. As does very much settle into a position that I'm not sure is most natural to him. And then his first North London derby comes round, like first week of the derby, you know, Frank, absolute muppet, you know, who's Eze? I mean, I just can't understand why you'd say something like that in an interview in derby week. It showed a bit of inexperience there. Gets his start. Actually, to me, Smugs, you were in the ground, and I'll push it back on you, but I felt like he looks like he plays with the handbrake off for the first time in the very first couple of minutes. He's just that little bit of flair that we're desperate to see in the game still now. It's so coached and organised, you know. And a couple of minutes in, one of my favourite moment of the game is not any of his 3 goals. That little feint and scoop pass to Rice was just like, you know, that was so Bergkamp Ozil-esque, you know, like just creating something out of absolutely nothing. You know, and Declan really should probably put it away. Kind of strikes it too well straight at the keeper, but goes into his first North London derby, hat-trick hero, you know, and again, when he celebrates, quite similar to when he walks out of the Emirates versus Leeds, you know, he just can't, but he's on cloud 9, isn't he? I don't think he can understand his dream. His dream has gone this far, you know, so just a magical moment. I mean, an immediate recognition now of somebody who will just be a cult hero amongst this fan base. He won't have to do a great deal more to just be remembered as someone who will just have a status around the club. I actually think he will go on and do major things for this football club. But I mean, you know, what was it like to watch it live and just see him run the show?
It was absolutely incredible, if I'm being totally honest. Like you said, that first few minutes where he does that scoop pass to Declan Rice, I think gives him that confidence that actually this is going to be my game. And I think he pretty much had that belief even before we went on that pitch on Sunday. But this is the thing with Eze, and this is the piece where I feel that he's better than Odegaard in terms of being on the edge of that box and getting his shots away. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's very much, he does get a lot of big goals. Like, you look at Crystal Palace scoring the FA Cup final. Do you know what I mean? And yet again, that's from making them runs or just being outside the box at that present moment of time. And it's probably the one thing that I've been a little bit disappointed with Odegaard over the last 2 seasons, that I think he needs to get more goals in his game. And that's not saying that Odegaard can't do it, because I believe Odegaard can do it. And I still believe that this team, and I know you do, I still believe this team, when it has its best 11, has both Eze and Odegaard in his team. But I thought he was absolutely superb on Sunday. He's a maverick, isn't he? He's a maverick. He's that player, yeah, right. And I'll say it again, and it might have been a bold statement at the time. That signing, I honestly believe, if we win the title, it'll be because we made that maverick signing. Do you know what I mean? We got that little bit of extra in, that little bit of magic. Do you know what I mean? That little bit of do you know what I mean? Like,
obviously,
Thierry Henry was the master at it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel that he's got that little extra in him that can split games apart and be that man to score big goals. And boy, an hat-trick on his North London debut, like you said, he's going to go down as a cult hero just for that alone.
I mean, what I think, diving into the technicalities of Eze's game, is that, you know how persistent I've been with you talking about this off camera, and actually we spoke about it in episode 1 a little bit, that I still believe that the very best of Eberechi Eze is just in a slightly left biased position, working on the inverted angle in towards the goal. And because there's no Gyökeres there, and Marino is sort of folding slightly more into the Odegaard role and then doubling up on the midfield to overload them, because they only played a 2, which was actually a bit of a masterclass from Arteta to tell him to do that. And he didn't really play on the shoulder. What he did was he allowed the space for Trossard and Eze then almost to play as 2 up front in possession. And if you look at Eze, he kind of peels slightly left and just edges in, and lets Marino, Timber and Saka do the right-sided work. And then when the ball comes across from when the ball comes across for the very first instance from Rice, it's the reverse pass into Eze, takes a touch from the left-hand side, moves it out of his feet, it's a shot on the angle, bang, goal 1, right? So that is from a slightly left-biased position where he wants to be on the football field. I think, unfortunately, Trossard's been phenomenal the last few games, but he is likely to be the person who's going to probably drop out of this team when Odegaard, the captain, comes back. Then you look at the second goal, it's down the right-hand side. Timber breaks away. He tries to pop the ball in first time around. Ball comes back to him. He finds Eze in the middle of the pitch, and then he feints to the left-hand side, which the defence haven't telegraphed. And then he finishes it. I think the second goal is the best of the three because they don't see him going left side onto his weak foot, and it's a very accomplished finish on his left foot. And then obviously with the third goal, he's slightly more favoured into the central area from the 9, and then he just drops a shoulder. See you later, Udogie. You know what I mean? You're absolutely out of here, son. Like, get on your ass, and then just curls it round the keeper. Very unlucky not to get a 4 for Correa. Makes a pretty good save off his left foot. And I think the most valuable point that you just made about Odegaard there about scoring more goals is that, he's very, very, very competent in his creative work, Odegaard, and putting the slip balls in, but maybe sometimes he's slightly reluctant to get the shot off. Eze is such a good striker of the ball. He does not fear striking at goal. You look at the goal he scored for England the week before that we come to the North London derby. He got 5 shots off in the game, all of them on target, all of them well struck, 2 good saves from the keeper, 3 goals. I cannot tell you a game I can remember where Odegaard's had 5 shots in a game, certainly 5 shots on target. And actually would probably say that I can't really think of anybody in the team that goes and gets 5 shots off. So, it's a massive attribute for us to have somebody who is happy to just shoot on sight and just pull the trigger convincingly, And yeah, there's just so many positions there's so many points in the game to talk about. I'm not sure how you really want to do it. Do you want to go? Should we go front to back on all and just do the 11 front to back or back to front? And then
I think we'll look at. I think we'll go through the starting team. Like obviously, Raya in goal, which no surprise whatsoever. Obviously. The not controversial choice, but obviously the choice that was made was that obviously Hincapié would come in to partner Saliba in Gabriel's absence, which I was very happy with that selection. So that was what I wanted, if I'm being totally honest. And obviously Calavori back fit after missing out on one of the Italian games due to injury, and Timber at right back. In terms of defence, mate, look. Spurs turn up to do one job only, and that was to sit in and not concede, which was. I've got to be honest, I hear now they're moaning about it. They're fans, right? Like they went in this style, but before the game, all I heard was how they were looking forward to coming to us and shithousing their way to a win with a back 5. But they offered nothing, didn't they? Apart from obviously where so many lost the ball, and obviously Richarlison chipped Raya, which good strike, absolute tremendous strike. But apart from that, they offered nothing, did they? Absolutely nothing to that back 4.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, I sort of had this with a couple of pals about Raya with the Zabaloshlai goal, and I think people are going to they're always quite quick to get on top of Raya. They want to pick bones in him. He is about as maverick as you can get as a modern day goalkeeper. He is expansive in the way he plays. He's always trying new things in his distribution because they're trying to break down the opposition. So, a lot of people straight away kind of go after him for his distribution because maybe his completed passes are on the lower end, but he's trying to hit passes that basically split the opposition open and get into open play. It was actually one of his balls forward towards Marino that led to the throw in that then Timber sets Eze up, but yeah, look, he's on the edge of his box because we're in possession. Zubimendi, it was kind of he's come out and actually taken accountability for it, I think, and I actually really respect that. I thought I saw a tweet from his profile or whatever. I'm not sure it's blue ticked. I'm not sure if it's him or not. Anyway, he's a bit complacent in possession, Zubimendi, isn't he? And he should just pop the ball off to Saliba and recycle it, and the ball gets nicked off him. And I think if you ask for Carlson to do that again 100 times, he probably doesn't score. So, it's just a good goal. But other than that, he had nothing to do. So just coming into the back four, and then I'll let you take the midfield on. I wanted Hincapié to play. I wasn't just quite sure if they were going to fold Calafiori into the middle with Saliba and play Hincapié at left back, or they were going to go with him at centre half. But I want to make a really special mention for Hincapié. I think Saliba and Timber are just absolute standout players, and Calafiori's had his flowers this season, and rightly so. But a lot of people don't know about this lad. Everyone's very concerned when Gabriel comes out the side because he's the leader of the back. If anything, he's probably one of the most integral leaders in the football team. What he offers in both boxes is mad with his output. And, I think people were probably quite nervous going into that. Anybody who's nervous about Hincapié playing for the next month or two at centre half, I think that's probably nullified all their fears. I mean, he was absolutely phenomenal, Smugs. He was so calm in possession. He wanted the football all the time. He was equally as aggressive as Gabriel, which is probably something of a South American defender anyway. They often are. He's got that mad burst of pace that just gives him absolutely no fear when the ball gets turned over. And I thought, I don't know what you thought, but again, for his first, full debut, which was a home game to Spurs, the Arsenal red action or I'm not quite sure who took the responsibility. You can probably tell me for putting the Tavosi on and the kind of the start of the North London derby was so phenomenal. It probably felt very close to a European fixture. The Germans go bonkers for it, but I thought he handled the game so well. Obviously Eze's got all the plaudits and was the man of the match, but him and Trossard, I thought were just phenomenal in that game, and I was delighted with Hincapié's performance.
Yeah, I think it was. Do you know what? For an Ecuadorian, I think it's actually not a bad game for him to go into, because he's a fighter, isn't he? And there's no more of a fight than obviously facing your North London foes in a North London derby. I wasn't worried about him whatsoever, if I'm being totally honest. I was happy with that defensive lineup. I think there's been a lot of over talk in terms of how Arsenal are going to kind of react and cope with Gabriel. I think people need to look and realise now that we've got 8 superb defenders at the very least. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And when I mean superb, I mean superb. Like when you're looking at a second back four and you've got Ben White, Mascara, Hincapié, and Skelly. Do you know what I mean? Like, that just kind of says it all, don't it? In terms of obviously the levels that Mikel Arteta's built on obviously the fundamental side of the defensive game over the last 2 years. So I had no fear or no concern about obviously Hincapié setting into defence. Obviously, looking at the midfield, pretty much we expected that midfield. You know what I mean? Zubimendi, Declan Rice, and Eze. That's what the midfield's been over the last few weeks. We have obviously Odegaard out, and it picks itself. Obviously, my worry was, and yet again, Gyökeres. We thought that he might come back for the Tottenham game. Was obviously too early. We've got no strikers up front, and obviously Mikel Merino deputises again. But just want to put a special mention to him in terms of that first goal as well. That ball, absolutely incredible. And do you know what? The thing about Mikel Merino is that he's got that ability to do that. We see it obviously in the Brighton game in the League Cup with his assist, but he was in the Bernabeu and he put that ball through to Saka, didn't he, for the first goal? So he actually, for me, done a really, really good job up there on Sunday yet again. And hopefully now we'll utilise him on tomorrow night, and then we can kind of get our strikers back into the squad, because it's incredible, isn't it, Jim, that we're running into December with no forwards and we just battered Tottenham 4-1.
Yeah, it is, and it is credit to him, and he does deserve his plaudits for it. I mean, we definitely lose something defensively with him in the side. because of the aggression that Gyökeres plays with. I definitely think we're losing a bit of a presence across the back. Look, my take on yesterday, Smugs, is that I think if Gyökeres plays that game, I think we probably put 6-7 on them. They were absolutely at to excuse the pun, at 6s and 7s across the back three. They had no cohesion. Romero couldn't find a place in the back four. Danso was just hiding. And Van der Ven wasn't really allowed to play his game because Frank had them on the retreat and they were playing so deep. He wants to play higher and take someone on in a foot race, Van der Ven, because he's rapid, So they nullified the ability of their own defence just by setting us up like that. If we were allowed to sit with the possession of the football in that part of the pitch and push them back, I think someone like Gyökeres would be licking his chops if Eze is playing those little scoop passes and he's the one there on the swivel. I think the mask goes on probably once, twice, 3 times yesterday, So, and no one would probably love a North London derby goal as much as him as well. So, but that being said, what Mourinho does do when he comes into the side and occupies that position is he just gives you absolute efficiency. He's very good in the aerial duels. He gets his head on just about everything.
Yeah.
Technically, I think he's a bit more methodical in his play, and he notably takes a second longer on the ball than Zubimendi and Rice does. But because he's higher up the pitch, you get that ounce more time. And he has got the flair and that Spanish kind of vision to just see a pass and just pick it out. And the pass for Trossard's goal is brilliant. I mean, Trossard's got quite a lot to do. It's still at a height that requires a very, very high technical ability. And because Trossard's so 2-footed, how do you defend that? Because you don't know which way he's going to go, which is probably his USP. But he done a great job for us. And like you said, we've got no natural number 9 on the pitch, and we stuck 4 on them in open play. So what's the media's answer for us now? Because apparently we only score set piece goals, and we scored 4 in open play yesterday. Probably should have had 2 more. So I can't knock anyone yesterday. Everyone to a man was top draw. They were so up for it, and we battered them off the park. It was embarrassing for Spurs yesterday. Even thinking about historical games where we stick them 3-0, both to 5-2s. They've put up more of a fight. You've got to remember in the first 5-2, we go 2-0 down at a us, but then we go and find 5. But I'm just annoyed they scored, actually, because it should have been like 5-6-0, and we should have sent them into hibernation. But they got a little bit to hold on to, But you're clutching at straws.
Yeah, I was disappointed in them massively because even though, like, obviously, as I said at the start of the show, there's a lot of talk they would set up like that. That's not Spurs. Do you know what I mean? In my eyes, at least give it a go. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to go and lose a North London derby, at least give it a go. To go out that way, I think was a pretty shocking way, and I think it's gonna leave some question marks on Thomas Frank, if I'm being totally honest, because he's not had a bad start, if we're being totally honest. But let's be frankly fair. Like, obviously, where they were last year in their league position to now is obviously chalk and cheese. But I didn't think Thomas Frank was set up like that. Do you know what I mean? I actually thought Thomas Frank was better than that, to be fair. I've always, like, before he obviously went there, I was quite an admirer of Thomas Frank at Brentford and the job he done. So for him to turn up then and then to produce that kind of performance, I was very, very surprised because, look, years gone by, you get the passion, you get the bite, you get everything, don't you? Yeah, we got a little bit of passion at the end of the game where it kicked off a little bit, but they didn't lay a glove. They literally didn't lay a glove. And if I was a Tottenham fan, I'd be really, really, really disappointed in terms of, like, we go there and we don't even lay a glove. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I don't even think we caught them cold, mate. Do you know what I mean? I just think mentally they turn up to try and stifle us out, and you know what it's like. Once you go 1-0 up, and then you get a quick second, like we are very good at doing at the Emirates. Do you know what I mean? Like, They've got to change the whole mentality at that point, and that's when the player like the Eze becomes an absolute nightmare for teams. And I always remember watching him back at Palace and thinking, do you know what? They're so good on the counter-attack because they got Eze. And when the games open up and teams got to come to us, you see a totally different game like you did on Sunday in the second half.
Well, I don't even really think that they did open up, if I'm being honest. I still felt like, at 1-0, 2-0, Vicario still stepping up to the halfway line, taking free kicks. What the fuck is that all about? And they just never get their shape. No one in their midfield. Just tell me of a scenario in their midfield where someone on the midfield put their foot on the ball and started to play. Like Bentancur certainly didn't. Paulini was weighing over his head. Like when Xavi Simons come on, maybe he offered a slightly different out ball and he took a run at us, but Timber and Saliba just boxed him off. Like he was done and dusted. Come on, looking like sideshow Bob. Some haircut he's had. So they've not really changed the way in which they've set up, played, or the mentality on the pitch. But what Eze does give you is that if you allow him to play and you can feed that up, there was a purpose around how we passed the ball yesterday, which I think is the evolution of what Mikel's now doing with his squad, where they're popping the ball around with a lot more purpose. We're not like floating the ball into people's feet now. It's going in hard and it's sticking. And then the first touch is very efficient and the ball's moving on. And when you've got a team that's quite static and so deep, they just cannot contain you, and we just moved the ball side to side through the channels, then broke the lines. Eze was popping in between the two lines. Because they played 5 at the back, no one went with him and picked him up. No, they didn't know their job, Spurs. They were completely lost. So he's always got a free man over and he can pop around, and it's almost like a rondo exercise for him, for most of it. And you make a great point about how efficient he is in the moment where the game has got a slightly different ambience to it, at least. And he goes and is integral in the second goal. Look at the third goal, like 35 seconds after half time. That is criminal. I mean, if we can see goals that close to half time or straight after half time, we're spitting our dummies out. You cannot do that. You've got to go and be able to see halves out or conceal teams and just try and get a shape in the game. And then it's 3-0. It's dead, isn't it? That's probably why Zubimendi has been caught on the ball. I don't think Arsenal thought that they were going to get that much of an easy Sunday out, especially after everyone else losing, City losing, Liverpool losing. Spurs would love to go and just stick it on Arsenal. But honestly, I'm with you with Frank at Brentford and things like that. I think he's a good gaffer and I think he probably has a lot of great ideas, but that's got to be in his managerial career, probably one of his lowest moments, because that was appalling.
Yeah. Look, just looking ahead to obviously Wednesday, and we've got obviously Bayern Munich. Do you expect many changes, or do you think we'll pretty much go out with the same kind of lineup?
Yeah, it's a funny one. I've been toying over this all day, and I imagine Arteta is toying over it as well. Momentum breeds success in a dressing room, and a big win like that, the players will be on cloud 9. I doubt the players want to rotate that much, but I'm very fearful about the nature of our injuries over the last 24 months. We have not suffered. The only person who suffered a tackle that just looks quite harmful is Odegaard's first one in the international game, where he gets a full set of spikes down the back of his Achilles, and once his foot's planted and he's trying to take off, that is quite nasty. It's very unfortunate and unintentional, but that can be quite damaging. Everything else than that, Smugs, has been muscle-related, off-contact or workload-based injuries, which is normally hamstrings or groins, right? So that is kind of, these things never used to happen, mate, when we started watching football, but a player played 15 to 20 games less a year and he played 20 minutes less a match. So, when you add all that up, we spoke about this again in pod 1, there's a significant more load on these guys. And, yes, the recovery stuff and all of the technology involved in it is a lot better, but human beings haven't evolved that much in 10, 15 years, So we are in such a comfortable position in the Champions League that we're 12 from 12, that the result is somewhat binary to me. I think Sunday and having more momentum in the Premier League is more important. And obviously Chelsea are our nearest rivals. So right now they're a threat. Some people maybe don't think they're going to win the title or challenge, but we're nearly a third of the way through the season and they're right there. So we can't take them for granted. And we've got to go to their house as well. So I would like to not probably see like full rotation like we do in the League Cup, but I'd like to see a hybrid of that. I don't think Raya needs to play. I think Kepa can play. You've made some great points about the fact we've got 8 phenomenal defenders. So I think there's Timber's done the press conference today, so he's probably expected that he'll play, but I don't think it would be remiss of us to see Nkappi and Saliba in there, but White and Lewis Skelly at fullback, and that would be fine. I'd really like to see one of Rice or Zubimendi rested, and just given some time out. It looks like Gyökeres and Havertz aren't ready for this week, which Arteta said in his presser today. So I think Mourinho's got to play in the 9 again. And then I don't know if Odegaard's ready to start the match or not, or just get minutes. It'd be probably good to see Eze play 55, 60 and Odegaard get 30. That would be quite okay, and then you've got to make a decision about, Martinelli was on the bench against Spurs, wasn't he? So could he start? Can he come in and play the left wing and give Trossard a rest? And then, I imagine Saka will captain the team. So, and Madueke will be ready to go, So it's a difficult one, mate. I've not kind of named my 11 there, but I've given you quite a few ideas. But I'd like to probably see 3 or 4 rotated. What about you?
I think I will see 2 rotated personally. I think, like you said, I think Skelly comes in for Calafiori. He's had a good record in Champions League. I think he offers us something different in Champions League, and I think Martinelli does come in tomorrow night. I think maybe Arteta held him back on Sunday, thinking that, you know what, we don't need you. The game's done. Just get you ready for Wednesday night. I don't expect any other changes, if I'm frankly honest. I think his presser pretty much said, didn't he, that obviously ready to go again and all that. And I just think that Arteta wants to get this Champions League group stage confirmed. Because the sooner we get it confirmed, the easier it makes it in January, doesn't it? If we're being frankly honest. Like, January's always been a tricky month. And when you start thinking if we beat Crystal Palace in the League Cup quarterfinals, then you're looking at two legs in between January and the start of February as well. So I think this game will be looked at as a game that actually, do you know what, we're like, especially after the confidence that Sunday brought, I think we put out pretty much our strongest lineup apart from them 2 changes. And I think we have to. I think, like, because it's Bayern Munich, do you know what I mean? We want to make a statement at home against these guys as well. The confidence that would bring if we beat them on top of Spurs in the space of 3 days at the Emirates would just set us up so well going into the weekend against Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably not wrong. And they played Sunday. They're not playing till Wednesday. So they've had probably a Monday off. They've trained Tuesday. Then they've got a game in the evening on Wednesday. They probably have Thursday off, train Friday, train Saturday morning. And then they play Sunday afternoon. I don't know what our fixtures look like the following week. I don't think there's a game.
Got Brentford on the Wednesday after.
Okay, that's a league game as well.
Yeah. Then Villa. I think that's the is it R5 or R12? It's one of them. That's on the Saturday as well, isn't it? So the games are coming thick and fast, mate.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got early kickoff against Villa on the Saturday, and then we got a late kickoff against Brentford on the Wednesday, and then they get a proper break Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We play Club Bruges on the Wednesday, and then we play Sunday again, late kickoff, and then they've got a week off. And then it's Everton. So, but yeah, but we have got players coming back, and look, you make a really great point there about just getting, going into this strong. And if we get 15 from 15, obviously it means we take 3 off Bayern. 15 points probably gets you through automatic, and then they've got 3 games where you could probably heavily rotate, and you got Bruges, Inter, and one other quite winnable game, I think, in there.
Yeah.
So, maybe he just tries to go and see this thing off now. And we have got 3.5 days after this game to go into Chelsea, which is about as much rest as you get in the middle of a domestic season now. So, yeah, you definitely don't want to set us up, does he? So we go and get panned 3-0 here, and the atmosphere changes, and then we go into Sunday and we've got to go and re-find it again. So it's a great response to the draw at Sunderland, where we kind of dropped 2 points in the last minute, and now he probably wants to rebuild and get a good bit of momentum going into December, which we've got a pretty hectic routine.
Yeah, because when you look at December, you look at games, don't you? Like, obviously Chelsea's just previous at like into the last game of November, but as we just spoke, you got Brentford, Aston Villa away, then you got Wolves at home, then you're looking at Everton away, and then Brighton and Villa at home just after Christmas. Which, to be fair, games in the past which we have kind of struggled at home against them two teams. Getting out, I think December is going to be a big month for this club, because let's be honest, we have fallen in December before, which is obviously, in my opinion, the league title that we lost 2 seasons ago, when we lost it in the last game of the season, was lost due to the West Ham and Fulham game, in my eyes, in December. So it's a really important month, isn't it? And I look up to that Everton game, and I think actually that's 3 big away games that we've got coming up. Aston Villa, Chelsea, and Everton. And if we can come out of there unscathed, then I think my confidence will start to soar at that point, because we start looking at the away games that we've done by that point. We've ticked quite a lot of boxes up, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And Villa are coming into a pretty good moment. They're not playing their best stuff, but they're getting results done. They went 1-0 down against Leeds, managed to find a way, got it over the line. They're definitely struggling for something up front. Watkins is probably in his worst form in the last couple of years. He's shy on goals, but they've got flair players like Rodgers, Buendia, Mallon comes. They've got really good attacking threats, all on the pitch and on the bench, ready to go. Sancho, another one. So they're not going to be any easy scoop. Everton under Moyes will be a really knife edge game. And we've got to expect that we're going to get some quality from Chelsea come this Sunday as well. So I'm absolutely with you. It's just important that we just, while City and Liverpool are a little bit inconsistent, if we just keep amassing points, we just hope that we get to a point where we're so far ahead where we could afford a little blip and still be in the driving seat. 6, 7 is on the periphery of being in that position, but 10 is really in that position, So yeah, you make a great point.
Stamford Bridge Sunday, we've actually got quite a good record against Chelsea over the last few years, not lost to them since 22nd of August 2021, which was the Lukaku game against Pablo Mari. How confident are you Sunday? I watched Chelsea the other day. I weren't overly impressed what I see against Burnley, but look, they got the job done still. I feel if we go out, in my personal opinion, if we go out there with Gyökeres up top, I've got no reason to believe why we shouldn't win the game. But it's about going out there and doing it, isn't it? It's another, as I said, it'd be another big ground ticked off, and we can get that win. That just breeds even more confidence that we've gone and won at a big ground. And let's be honest, Chelsea is second at the moment, and rightly so. Probably been the most informed team. I know they lost to Sunderland, which is a bit of a shock, but they have been obviously winning games. So it's going to be a good game Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and there's a lot of quite interesting matchups that kind of bleed out of that game. I have not been confident in a Chelsea goalkeeper for years now. I don't think much of Sanchez. I didn't think much of the guy who went to Bournemouth. He's done okay there. I think Kepa had quite a tough time at Chelsea, but has been a better goalkeeper out of Chelsea. His little season he had at Madrid, he was good. He was brilliant last year for Bournemouth. But Sanchez is a goalkeeper who I quite fancy having a run at, and looks like he's got a mistake in him. They have been blighted with injuries in their back four, and they've had to have makeshift back fours consistently throughout this season. And I feel like they could be really got at. Enzo seems to be coming into his own and showing showing quite a lot of the footballer that is the reason as to why they kind of paid 9 figures for him. Casido's been brilliant, you know. They're saying Cole Palmer's quite close to being back, but he's had no minutes really. Are they going to risk him against Barcelona tomorrow? I don't know. I think they've got Barcelona, haven't they, Chelsea? Yeah. So, you know, and then again, but there's a couple of interesting matchups there that will be quite defining in that game. One will be Rice versus Caicedo. The other will be Esteval versus Calafiori. Now, we've spoke about the only weakness I see in Calafiori's game is in behind with a really springy winger. And that Esteval looks like a top player. So I think Sunday could be, again, you know, the making of how we feel about Hincapie. He is rapid, quick. He won't be worried about this Esteval, but he might have to do quite a lot of covering in a 2-up on Esteval. And it might be a better game Sunday, actually, for Martinelli, just because of his defensive attributes and his pace. So, yeah, look, mate, it's very difficult with this Arsenal team, this squad, and the moment we're in, not to be confident every single game you go into. It's just a bit of a bizarre feeling for us because we're in bridesmaid mode, right? And we've come so close the last few years and and we still haven't won anything. We've got a bit of a monkey on our back, but there's no denying that this team looks different, and they're a bit fed up with not winning nothing, and they want it now. So, you know, that being said, we've got to go there, put a marker down and just say, look, we can beat anyone on our day. You know, we're the best team in England at the moment, arguably the best team in Europe, and we've got to keep showing it.
And yeah, like obviously Sky cameras will be there. And let's be honest, everyone's waiting for us to kind of fall again, isn't they? As such, which has put a little bit more pressure on us, I guess. But it looks like this season, in terms of the pressure, it's not getting to the team whatsoever. At present, and I'll touch wood as I say that, but I just feel there's a strong belief around this squad. I think there is a belief of optimism, and they're going out and they're winning games in different kind of manners. Do you know what I mean? That's what I like. Like 1 week they'll go and grind it out against Crystal Palace, which, just be honest, was a horrid game, but we went and grinded it out. Obviously Tottenham, the handbrake come off and we absolutely destroyed them. But I feel that there's so many different ways and meanings we can win games nowadays. And I just feel that there's a confidence growing now, especially within the team. You could feel it in the fan base a little bit. They're still edgy to sing that we're top of the league and all that. And I understand why, because we've been in this situation before and it backfired. So, but I still think, and I'm going to be quite harsh here, I still think the fans need to do a little bit more at times. I felt at certain times on Saturday, especially when Spurs scored, the volume went down a bit and the anxiety come up a little bit. And obviously I feel that the fans need to work with that and try and get over that, because I feel sometimes that does bring a little bit of edge into that stadium.
Yeah, quite possibly. And I think it's just normal that you know, football is just such a highly intense emotional watch just for somebody who's as passionate as the fan base that any of these, you know, uber large clubs have, and it's very difficult not to just have those kind of moments of silence.
Sorry, my Alexa just got off for whatever reason, mate.
Once the router is connected to the internet, plug in the Echo device.
I wish she'd shut her mouth. There you go, she's gone.
And and it's, you know, I'll be critical of saying that I don't do it myself when I've been in the stadium over the last 25, 30 years. Yeah. So, you know, it is difficult in those moments, but, you know, predominantly this year, there has been a really good, Arteta, one thing I'm quite harsh on Arteta, but one thing he's done is definitely turn the Emirates into somewhat of a fortress, you know. And with the build up to the game on Sunday, with the new Tifosi, with the lights coming off, the red and white flares, like, you know, they've really created a stadium to just have the excitement levels off the ground. And we took control of that match so early Sunday. They've just got to keep being able to do that. And you've been with me at away games and stuff like that. You know, the away fans, there's 3,500 of them packed in. It doesn't matter where they go. They make themselves heard. Our away fans are a phenomenal bunch of lads. So, yeah, we just got to keep digging in. And we just got to keep knocking these sort of rudders off the ladder and just keep amassing the points, you know. If we keep on playing with where we're at now, which is about 2.41, 2.43 points a game, you know, we're running at like a 92, 93 point average in the Premier League. Like that's going to be good enough to win this league with the points that the likes of City and Liverpool already dropped. Yeah. So just got to stay at it, mate, haven't we, you know?
No, we definitely haven't. As you said, like we're running at a good points average at the moment. And when you look at Manchester City, where I still think they've got their flaws, and I think an injury to a couple of key players within that team, and you think that they will kind of struggle to get the points they need. And what I've seen already, like they lost at Villa and they lost at Newcastle, so these are grounds that actually, if we go to Aston Villa and get a win as well, that's two grounds that Manchester City have not picked up them points. And they're not easy to go to St James's Park. It's not easy to go to Villa Park. Do you know what I mean? It's not easy to go to any ground in the Premier League. But like, as long as we keep picking up them away points at a really good rate, like I beg to see that anyone can keep up with us this year. But it's about proof in the pudding, isn't it? It's about going out there and doing it. The squad's there. We've definitely got the squad. We've definitely got the players coming back. We've definitely got the forwards coming back as well, which I think is going to make a massive difference in terms of certain games. I'm really excited to be on the show. I'm really excited to get Havertz back. And I know me and you have had a lot of conversations about Havertz and Gyökeres, but I'm really looking forward in games to see them both in that team as well.
Yeah, I mean, and what I'm really excited to see is like a fully fit squad, you know, like when you know, come like touch wood, if we don't suffer any more injuries now because we've had them early and we get everybody back, first and foremost, he's going to have a right fucking headache as to how he's going to who he picks as a 20-man match day squad, because there's going to be some talent and some expensive talent left out of it. And then how he implements those people into an 11 and then a team in essence that finishes the game. And I know he talks about starters and finishers and subs and starters and whatever. But yeah, you know, like you spoke about Odegaard coming straight back into the team. Then what do you do with an Eze who just scored a hat trick? And then what do you do with Trossard, who has been integral to everything we've done in the last four to 6 weeks? You know, so you can't really drop a Rice or a Zubimendi. I think Declan Rice is probably the most informed midfielder on the planet at the moment. You know, and he's deadly in both boxes for us, you know, and also from set pieces and dead plays. So, you know, where do you, like, you know, could you even muster the ideology of having a conversation that if Saka doesn't get his numbers up, like, is he under threat from a Madueke? Probably can't think it, but can't write it off. You know, and then Trossard's got an Eze in form who can start on the left-hand side. He's got a Martinelli who's clucking at the bit. And since he had a pretty tough pre-season, he started reclaiming the form that has been more akin to what we saw of him in 2023. And then you've got, you know, in a 10 and a 9 position, you've got Havertz, Odegaard, Gyökeres, Jesus, Marino. They all want a bit of it. Only 2 of them can start the game. You know, we're not even onto like the Maduekes and Daumans and Nwanieris, who also don't want to just sit there getting splinters all year long. So it's a brilliant position to be in. And then what do you do with Gabriel what do you do with Hincapié when Gabriel comes fit? If Hincapié keeps putting in performances like that, you know, Mosquera's, when he's been deputised, he hasn't really put a foot wrong. He can't get in the team now. Ben White, I think Ben White must be probably the best unused footballer in the Premier League at the moment, you know. So Miles Lewis-Skelly, you know, he's sitting there thinking, shit, how do I get back in this team? Because I want to start for England at the World Cup in America in 7 months' time. So he's got headaches because he's built such a great squad. But as us as fans, unfortunately, we're in the driving seat of being this a good problem to have. So
it's scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Like when you start looking at that squad, right, and you start thinking, actually, we're missing like 6-7 players at the moment, and get Madawaki back, and you talk about Martinelli, you look at them to think absolutely incredible impact players to have. They're going to run like these fullbacks who have already played 70 minutes with a Trossard or a Saka or an Eze. They're going to come in for the last 25 minutes and just absolutely run these fullbacks to the ground. And we haven't even had the forwards yet. This is the unique part about where we're sitting at the moment in both the Champions League and the Premier League, that actually we haven't had a Gabriel Jesus fit whatsoever. Havertz has not been fit for pretty much the full season at the moment. And Gorkrez, we've missed for the last three games after tomorrow. But we're still nurturing the points. We're still getting them out. And you look at other clubs and you think, if they lost 6-7 players, and even down to your Liverpool's, I'm going to say, who I know they've spent a lot of money, but not in the right areas for me. And you look at Man City, if they lose 6-7 players, they ain't performing to this capability whatsoever.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. It's interesting listening to a reel on Liverpool earlier. Because they were talking about him on Sky Sports. I was watching the football pundit show on Sky Sports, and they were sort of saying, Gakpo, Ekitike, and Isak, none of them have scored since September. That's tough going when you have in essence an entire 2-month period where none of them get on the. I think all of them scored in and around the 27th of September. They were saying, and someone like Ekitike who had such a good start, but like Isak wasn't fit and he was the king of the show. We've spoken about this before when Isak comes back in. At the same token, we're talking about resting players and things like that. Footballers like momentum. They like to be on the pitch. They like match sharpness. They just, you're talking about split seconds and milliseconds at this standard. He's gone from being the star of the show, scoring in the Community Shield, then scoring 3 in his first 4 or whatever it was, when Liverpool were flying at the start of the year, and now he can't get a kick. So, you lose all that edge you've got when you're playing every 3 days. And they've played players. Slot's problem is that he's got players available, but he's played them out of form. McAllister doesn't look the same players. Beloshli was starting in the 3 last year. He has to come in at right back, go into centre mid. He's probably the only one who looks like wherever they put him on the pitch, he has good output. Vert's been a flop, Now he's injured. So it's tough for them. Man City were quite poor against Newcastle. I don't know what you felt, but they didn't find a way to be able to fold the ball into Haaland. And when he doesn't get any service or get any opportunities, Haaland, he looks like he goes missing for all of the games, I mean, don't get me wrong. If you give him a sniff, like, he's deadly. And probably the best striker in the Premier League in the modern era, but they got guys out of form. I look at City again. I wish we could play them again at home. I think they look weak at the back, Smugs. I just don't think there's no Vincent Kompany. There's no leader there now.
Yeah.
And Donnarumma's been pretty integral to stopping them ship 3-4 in a game. So look, it's saying those things out loud means that we're in a really strong moment, because we can't reel off loads of massive concerns about us other than the fact that we're just nervous because we ain't won fuck all for so long, right? But but if you take that out of it and you just kind of in the moment right now, 12 games into the Premier League, we look destined to be able to go on and do it, because we're the only team who've kind of are executing our game plan, doing it properly each, week in, week out.
It's testament, isn't it, in terms of the squad build that we've done since obviously Bert has come in terms of getting the right pieces of the jigsaw to get us to this position, because it's chalk and cheese to last season, do you know what I mean, when we're bringing in lights of Raheem Sterling. But just to go back on your question about obviously that Man City game. I totally agree with you 100%. Like, let's be honest, Donnarumma kept him in that game for the first half. Absolutely incredible goalkeeper. I know me and you have spoke about him before in terms of what a brilliant signing he was for Man City. But yeah, from a defensive point of view, I just don't think they're good enough at the moment to be able to go away from home and win games like they used to. And what they do, and I hate to say, well, I probably like to say it, to be fair, but Kevin De Bruyne was just something else, wasn't he? Like an absolute fantastic, incredible footballer. And I just watch him now. And I remember they played Newcastle a couple of years ago and he come back in that game and he only come on for the last 20 minutes. And I think Newcastle 2-1 up and then Man City won it 3-2. And I thought about that moment on Saturday and I thought, if Kevin De Bruyne was there, this would be a totally different Man City team. Do you know what I mean? Like,
100%.
It's just
yeah.
Pardon?
Yeah, 100%. And throughout his reign, Guardiola, you know, he's had a top centre forward because obviously before Haaland he had Aguero who scored 170, 180 Premier League goals. Haaland, if he chooses to stay at City for the rest of his career, will probably get close to Kane and Shearer's number. So he's had a top centre forward throughout his entire reign at City. But what he's had is that, to start with, giving the service to Aguero, a Premier League legend in David Silva, who's one of the most, you know, creative sparks we've had in the Premier League this side of millennium. And then he's handed the reins over Kevin De Bruyne, who is in the argument, I think, for being one of the greatest Premier League players ever, right? And he's handed over to Ryan Cherky, you know, who, don't get me wrong, looks like a really great talent, but he's come out of Ligue 1 and he won't have a fucking Scooby-Doo about the intensity, the aggression and the speed of this league. He's going to need some time. If Florian Wirtz, who was at a much higher level in Germany, can't find his feet and he's going to take some time, then Cherky's going to take the same amount of time. You know, people always talk about, you know, the most irritating argument, Smugs, I don't know if this one grinds your gears or not, is the old Foden versus Saka argument.
And just thinking about him as it goes.
You know, it's just like the reason why Foden is better is because he's won 4 Premier League titles. But, you know, he's been a bit of an extra in City's success. Don't get me wrong, he's a good player, but he's not integral in that spine, is he? When you've had a top keeper, which, you know, an Edison probably for the lion's share of it, a Vincent Kompany, you know, who needs a Diaz next to him. Diaz ain't Vincent Kompany, so, you know, someone needed to replace Vincent Kompany. Then you've got, you know, in the holding role, whatever used to be Yaya Toure, or, you know, then Rodri came in, top player. He's not been the same after 2 injuries. Kevin De Bruyne, Aguero, Haaland, whatever. You know, it's different. It's just different now there. And he is having, you know, Guardiola's having to rebuild it. So in their moments where they're good, they're very good, and Haaland makes them look really good. But, you know.
Don't you think it's quite astonishing, though, that actually where we was back in 2020, 2021 to where we are now, where they are, like, I didn't see us having a better squad than them for love or money, do you know what I mean? And then 5 years on, it's like we've timed it well. It's just like absolutely well in terms of, like, don't get me wrong, we should have done this business last year, but there was reasons why we didn't do this business. But I just find it astonishing. I look at Man City's squad now and I look at Arsenal's squad, and it used to be the other way around.
Yeah, no, definitely. And when they started off, like, years ago, you know, they went on a mission to pick us apart, didn't you? Remember, they took 5 or 6 players off us in 3 years: Adebayor, Nasri, Sagna, Clichy. You know, list goes on. They actually took Seaman from us way back when. But, you know, so like they went through a kind of route of picking us apart when they started all their builds or whatever. But, you know, you go and pick apart the best that there is on the marketplace, right? And they were the first ones to just, you know, go with the 4 centre halves at the back, and it was 50 million quid signing, 50 million quid signing, 50 million quid signing, you know, and that was that. But yeah, I think you mentioned a point earlier, and we just will probably keep saying this throughout the season on our pods about the difference maker probably to this squad is that this team have been in around two proper title challenges in the last 3 years. I told you that I don't believe last season was one of them. It was a bit of an adaptation of a mini rebuild, and we still managed to finish second with it. So we didn't see any drop off, but we weren't really in a title race last year. But the big difference maker this year was bringing Berta in, and somebody who was able to execute like the final pieces to Mikel's vision, So he's built the infrastructure. He's inherited Saliba, who Emery signed, and he's become the player that everybody hoped he would. Got to give Arteta his flowers on Gabriel, because I was a bit unsure about him when he first started, but he's just got better and better and better and better. And then the other elements of Anarchy Kana has been integral in saying Raya is the right goalkeeper for this team, and he's come in, and I don't think anyone looks backwards at Ramsdale now. I mean, he's just waiting for Pope to get injured so he can have a moment at Newcastle. And then outside of that, what the people that probably deserve a lot of plaudits around the squad are probably Per Mertesacker, because you think of Lewis Skelly, you think of Saka. You think of Nwaneri, the other guys who've come into the squad and added something. People that have come through the academy as well, and now Dowman's the next one. They just keep every couple of years. We just keep getting an academy product who just looks like a £100 million player, and that's massive when you can organically grow a team as well. It's huge. So. Yeah, look, we've recruited brilliantly, and we've got a style of play which is quite adaptable. Everyone thought we were a set-piece team. We created so many chances Sunday, it was scary, all in open play. So he's able to ask them to do different things, and these guys can just go and do it. So, yes, mate.
No, it's all good, isn't it? It's all good. We do have to move on, though, because there is a lot of questions that you're going to have to do a round robin and ask. The winning question will win as a shirt, obviously, that you'll be donating today. So obviously, thank you very much for that, first and foremost. I'm going to go through the questions with you. And I'll give you 30 seconds on each question to try and answer them. Okay. Right, so we got Discomfort Kieran, first one. How do we reintegrate players coming back from injury without disrupting the current momentum?
Very difficult, but all of these guys are professional footballers. This is nothing that will be new to them. We've spoken about for so long how many games, how thick and fast they come. So it will knowing Mikel, he won't break character. It will be methodical. It will be slowly. It will be in the right games, in the right moments, and then it will be how well they train. So. I don't expect it to be a negative at all. If anything, I expect the squad to be quite bullish on the fact that we've got so much talent, very close to coming back and having a full match day squad.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Kieran, for that question. Next question is from Tasha. If we were to win the league, what or who do you think has been the most critical and most influential change between last season and this season?
Andrea Berta.
Next question from Augusta. Although it doesn't really happen anymore, what do you think the likelihood is that Mikel has a Wenger-esque stint at the club, given his love and passion for the club?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, in modern day football, it's he's been at the club into his 7th season, 6.5 years. That is a long term. Guardiola's been at City 8, 9, 10. So he is in a Wenger and Ferguson-esque stint, because of the way in which things change so rapidly now. So I don't know whether or not he will do 23 years at the football club, because I don't think the Cronkies will still own the football club then. I think if we start winning major honours, they might think about cashing in on this project, which would be natural for them from a business perspective. But I don't think he's thinking about going anywhere until he wins everything at this football club, which is only a good thing for us. So,
thank you very much, Augusta. Next two questions. A question I think they're trying to catch you out here a little bit, so we'll see how you do. Arsenal became the 7th side to win 100th Champions League games. Who did they beat to claim this record?
Arsenal became the 7th side to win
100 Champions League games. Who did they beat to claim this record?
Well, if it was 100 Champions League wins, I can only imagine that record has been done very, very recently. So I would probably assume that it was our last result, which means that it was Slavia Prague.
Oh, just missed out there, mate. It was actually a 4-0 win against Atletico Madrid.
Atletico Madrid, there you go. All right, fair enough. So,
the next one, I was at this game.
Okay.
Name the team and ground of the Arsenal away game that was abandoned in the 97-98 season due to floodlight issues and later associated with a match fixing scandal.
Team and ground. Okay. He's on question. It's not a quiz. I don't know.
I'll give you a clue. The game had to be replayed in the Premier League.
But the Premier League didn't exist in 79.
No, 97, 98.
97, 98.
Yeah.
97, 98. That was the year.
We won 1-0 in the game. The rematch.
Sheffield Wednesday?
No, Wimbledon.
Okay, I'm shocked. Right.
Next one, Jelly Belly. How much of a role do you think guys think? How much of a role do you guys think Jesus will play in the next 2 months? Havertz had a setback, might not be back till Christmas, and Goldcrest wasn't in trains. Jesse could be out longer than anticipated. We could use an informed Jesus now, couldn't we?
Yeah, it's a good question because it's a very probably it's probably likely to be quite a heavily debated question. I'm not so sure. I definitely think that that we're better that he's training on the grass and in training, but I don't know if I'm being honest. I'm just not sure if we've not evolved our style slightly beyond him. Don't get me wrong, he's a really flary and tricky customer, and in low blocks, I think he's probably where he's most lethal. But teams have adapted really quickly to this kind of set piece heavy, physical deeper game. And I'm not sure. Part of me still thinks that the club have kind of got an agreement with him to get him fit and try and get him ready for the January window. And he might move on. He's they'd be worried if he gets injured again on the wages that he's on. He's on £250,000 a week. So I can see it going one of two ways. He stays fit, doesn't play, or he comes in and can contribute. But I don't know where he contributes because Gyökeres and Havertz has come out in the Arteta interview today, and he thinks both of them are very, very close. Plus, you've got Marino there, who's quite used to playing. So he's third or fourth choice in the 9. Then you've got Martinelli, Trossard, and Eze that can play left wing. So he's maybe Madueke as well, third, fourth, fifth choice in the left wing. Good problem to have, but I couldn't. I'm not sure.
Next question from Catherine. If you could go back and watch one game for the first time again, which game would it be and why?
If I could go back and watch one game again, I've seen a similar question to this when I had a little scroll earlier. So I'll answer the questions the same. There is no game more that I would love to relive just to watch live or watch on the television than when we beat Barcelona 2-1 at the Emirates. In
2011,
what was that? Yeah, the Arshavin goal.
Yep.
That was the I think somebody said what was the best game of football you've been to at the Emirates or something like that. Smugs, you got the questions, but that was the best experience I've had in the Emirates Stadium. It was just that Barcelona team. Do you remember it? It was just mental, and what it went on to achieve, and to beat them that night. That famous Wilshere performance. Koscielny kind of plugged Messi up. Yeah, That was my fondest memory of my season ticket days, in the old North Bank or in the new North Bank at Emirates Stadium, being pitch side for that. It was monumental.
And it was Margaret who asked you the question, what is your favourite European match and a goal? So that will be that question chalked off. Philippe asking Jim, after Eze's hat-trick in North London, where do you think he fits best in our long-term midfield structure?
Well, you already know the answer to this, but I believe that his best role will be working in an inverted forward on the left side. So some of the positions he took up from Sunday, Odegaard can play in his kind of right 10 and accommodate Eze in those positions still. So I think he will play what will appear on a team sheet as the left side of a free, but I think he'll play almost in an inverted left forward position, just ahead of Odegaard, but favouring the left side on the ankle. And I think that's where he'll be most lethal for Arsenal.
AFN asking, would you sign Tony or Watkins in January just to have a striker more for the running?
No, because I wouldn't allocate the resources to Tony or Watkins when you've got someone like Jesus, who I just don't know where he's going to get minutes. I understand at the moment we're apprehensive and nervous because Gyökeres and Havertz are taking their time to come back in, but the minute both of them are fit, and then you've got a Jesus who can't get in, and you've got Marino who can play there. And arguably, Smugs, you could probably say in some circumstances, Martinelli could play in the 9.
Yeah.
I think we're pretty good.
Marino, of course.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, I wouldn't allocate resources there. I'd rather spend money now on having someone who could... Where I think we are most vulnerable in the transfer market is if Declan Rice gets injured, I think that's when I would start getting nervous. So I think money needs to go there.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. That's my position as well. If we need to buy anyone, you kind of asked this question. Hazel was asking, full strength will rest some legs against Bayern. Refused to batter Chelsea on the weekend. I think you pretty much
yeah. You were rest 2 and rotate 2. I was probably a bit more inclined to rest 3 or 4, but yeah, I think we'll rotate a little bit. But I think I agree with Smugs actually. In hindsight, We'll go in fairly full strength and try and keep momentum into that Chelsea game and go and stuff them at the bridge.
What do you think our result will be against Bayern?
1-0.
Tarek's asked, technically, this is a question. What do you think of Tottenham?
Shit.
There you go, Tarek. Anna's asking, what player from the Premiership today do you think would fit into the team, if any?
From the Premier League in 25-26?
Yeah, she's asking who would you, if you had one person to bring in from within the Premier League, who would it be?
Oh wow, okay.
It's a pretty tricky one at the moment, isn't it? That is a tricky question.
Based on Premier League form this year.
Could be player, but not in. It doesn't need to be in form.
I mean, well, look, if it's, I love Gyökeres, but it's impossible not to say Haaland. I think he will be a Premier League legend. So, if you put Haaland in with the form Haaland's been in, if you put him in our team the way we've been playing now, talking about an invincible season. So. It'd probably just have to be Haaland. I can't honestly, because there's no one else really I think deserves to probably. I wouldn't want to drop. I wouldn't think about dropping anyone else. So, Haaland.
One player I do really rate, but he ain't going to get in the team whatsoever. But one that I believe he will go to a top club is Adam Walton. I think technically he's going to be an absolute incredible player forever. Gets to sign him, so he's probably one. If I was being greedy and wanted my bench to be a little bit different, you know what I mean, I'd probably put him on there. But I think it's a really tough question. That is, isn't it? In terms of right now.
I tell you, if you were looking about bench options, the person I would say that would best complement Declan Rice, but also be able to play in his position, I've been really impressed with Elliot Anderson at Forest. He looks like he's playing a level way above where he's at, with the utmost respect to Forest. I think he will go to a very big club in the summer. And I think actually he will be a difference maker in the World Cup for England as well. He is a really, really nice footballer to watch. He's very aggressive. He's very he's very, very good in the duel. He turns over the ball well. He's always looking to get on the front foot. He's very comfortable in tight positions. He's good in possession-related teams like in England, but he's also good out of them in a Forest. I've been really impressed how he's kicked on, actually, and kind of biggest compliment you can give him is he doesn't look like it's phased him whatsoever going into that England team when he's got to go into a midfielder like Rice and Bellingham, which would be a that'd be a headache for anyone. Just kind of going and making your full England debut. He doesn't really care. He just goes straight into it. Yeah.
I should be looking at these questions. There's a lot, so we're going to need to speed it up. What is your all-time greatest North London derby moment apart from the Eze hat-trick?
Apart from the Eze hat-trick, well, winning the league at the Lane, really.
Cool. In terms of all the players that we've signed for the money that we've signed them for, who do you think's been our best bargain buy out of this squad at the moment?
Our best bargain buy out of this squad. So not just the transfer window just gone, like any of them.
Yeah, out of any of them.
God, fucking hell! It's a good question, Smugs, isn't it?
That's a good question.
Out of this squad, I think Gabriel was 26 million quid.
Yeah,
I'd probably say him.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you there. Next question from John: should we concentrate on the league and the Champions League, or should we go all out for the quad?
Good position to be in. I think we've got the squad to be able to deal with all of it, but we do need people available. So you'd have to be agile with that. If we're in a position that we're in now, where we're like 7 or 8 players out, then you've got to prioritise the 2 main competitions. But if everyone comes back in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then we get the break from the Champions League and we're through it, and then we can put some resource into League Cup. If we get, again, what it's like, Smugs, if we get lucky for like 3rd, 4th and 5th round where we get quite winnable FA Cup games, you can rotate really heavily. So, you should always, and Guardiola's the best advocate for this, you should always try and win every single competition you play in. At the end of the day, it's elite level sport and, you play to win. So we should try and win everything. But yeah, you'd also got to be aware of what you got in 3 days and 7 days time. So yeah. I would say win everything. This squad's big enough and good enough to do it.
What heights could this amazing group of players reach, and for how long, in your opinion?
Well, Trossard's the only person who's potentially the wrong side of 30 in this team. And we've recruited so well in the last 2 to 3 years. So as long as Bertha is efficient in contract renewals as he is in bringing new players in, there is no reason why, if we don't win major honours this season, we can't for the next 2, 3, 4 years. So I think over the next 4 years, this team should be thinking about amassing 6 to 8 trophies. And that would not flatter them. That's how good this squad is. So, Arteta needs that in his Arsenal resume. I think he's got all the resources and all of the opportunities to do it, and I think he might be good enough now to do it because he's had enough time to bed in. So he's done 300 games at Arsenal now. Someone asked earlier about can he get to Wenger levels, but he's at 300 games already. So we should be thinking about multiple major honours every year. And if we have a year off because we rebuild a little bit, they should be ready to go straight away.
Cool. Next question. Which summer signing do you think's made the most impact and not necessarily on the pitch? Reasons.
Which summer signing's made the most impact but not necessarily on the pitch? Zubimendi. I think Zubimendi will go a bit unsung with how good he's been. I know he had one little blip on Sunday, but he has unlocked Rice to find another level. His football IQ is so high. His distribution is so much better than I thought it was. He's always available and fit. He's dealt with the physicality of the league way quicker than most signings come into the league and deal with it. You know, he's been phenomenal, mate, isn't he? You know.
Yeah. Cool. Next one is about Alan Sunderland. I don't think we're old enough, mate, to answer that question. It was what was Alan Sunderland like in the dressing room?
I think I was itching my old man's pants when Alan Sunderland scored in '79. I've watched it enough times, but yeah, I don't know what the dressing room was like 40 years ago.
He was a goal scorer. He got the last hat trick before Eze in the North London derby, so fair play to him. If you could have any player in the Arsenal squad, who would it be and why?
If I could have any player in the Arsenal squad?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Sorry, I don't understand.
If you have any player in the Arsenal squad, dead or alive, who would it be and why? I think it'd be easy, wouldn't it? Be someone like Thierry Henry, wouldn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's sort of similar to the question that Prudy asked last week that won, right? You know, if the only place maybe you think you can tighten up a little bit in this team would maybe be left wing. So you'd look at Alexis Sanchez, but Thierry or Dennis, just because how good they were. But you know, be able to drop Eze after a trick. So yeah. What's been your favourite goal of the season and why? Favourite goal of the season and why? Well, any of the three from Sunday are immediately kind of there. I think Gabriel's header against Newcastle in injury time. We've had a proper lump on our back against Newcastle at St James's Park. They've fought. He's got up tallest. The passion that came from that goal and what it meant, and I think that's actually been a massive driver. I don't know if you agree, but winning there in injury time has been a massive driver for the form that we've then gone and had in the next sort of 7, 8, 9, 10 games. So that was a huge turning point, and it doesn't necessarily always need to be the most aesthetically pleasing goal on the eye. Yeah, it's actually what it breeds afterwards. And I think that goal will go down in our season as being one of the most important goals we scored in a long time. Yeah. What was your favourite ever Arsenal goal? Bergkamp, Newcastle. Which player from the 1979 Cup winning team would you have instead scored and why? Alan Sunderland. Scored goals, didn't he? He scored important goals. Yeah, he did score. Anyone from that era, right? You know, we grew up on knowing how good he was. Liam Brady was a joke, right? So you know, Liam Brady, Alan Sunderland. Do you think Wenger would still be managing if he had funds that obviously Mikel's received in the last 3 years? Fucking hell, it's dangerous for me. This, I have made no. I have made absolutely no secrets about how annoyed I was that Arsene didn't have the resources that have been made available to Mikel. But I think, because I think actually, if you look at the moment that we were in the 2010s when we were poor, he still had the ability to pull Aubameyang, Sanchez, Ozil, Lacazette, like proper European talent who could have gone to most clubs, and he could pull them into the Arsenal because of who Arsene Wenger was. That being said, I think that the best kind of accolade that Mikel can give to Arsene is that he kind of, he actually gives him a lot of credit for the hard work and the graft that he put in to put a cornerstone down for Arsenal to be in a position to do what they're doing now. So, look, I think we all would like to have seen what Arsene would have done with 500, 600, 700 million quid. I think he probably could have bought anyone. I think we were closest to buying Mbappe if we had the money. We didn't. And I think Arsene went for tea in his fucking parents' house or something in France. I remember reading it at the time. So, but he's very. You can't want to change anything about what we're doing right now. It's mad. So I'd have loved to have seen it. We didn't get to see it. He was integral in making what we've got now. Long live Arsene Wenger. Hopefully they invite him back, and they should come May, where we're celebrating something quite historical. Yeah. Prime on real prime Bergkamp. Fuck Bergkamp. I mean, he's my favourite Arsenal player ever. But I mean, stupid, silly question that, innit? Flip a coin. Do you know what I mean? Both of them were a joke to watch. Whose goal was better, Henry's flick or Bergkamp's goal against Newcastle? You've already answered that as Bergkamp. Yeah. If you could bring one player back to join the current squad, who would it be? It's been answered, Alexis Sanchez. Yeah.
Which two invincibles would you add to this squad?
Or Thierry Henry.
Vieira, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It's difficult not to say. I mean, the thing is, it's kind of the same stuff, isn't it? It's Bergkamp as well, sort of. But yeah, I mean, any of those lot. I mean, yeah. I probably would. It probably would be Vieira, because if you were adding them to this squad, and we just answered the point about like not having any drop off from Rice, someone like Vieira gives Rice a problem because they're quite similar play. Like Rice is playing Vieira's role, so Vieira straight away deals with that Rice injury issue, and Thierry's just Thierry, isn't he?
Yeah. We've already gone through your start. Oh, what we went through your starting lineup last week. Can you quickly say if everyone was healthy, what it'd be?
Yeah, it was just to try and stay consistent. It was Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel. I'm toying at changing Calafiori to Hincapi after Sunday, but just keep that one open. Rice, Mendy, Havertz, Saka, Gyökeres, Eze.
Cool. If you've answered this question, if you had to pick one player from a rival club for a starter, it'd be Haaland.
Yeah.
Which Arsenal players scored in the Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup, and League Cup during the same season? Don't even know that myself. Let's come back to that one anyway.
Might be. Yeah. Do you know what? It's good. It might be Fabregas. Thinking out loud, but okay.
Nolly, I'm going to ask, can you answer this for us? I'll be interested to see who that is. All right. What is Thierry Henry's best goal in an Arsenal shirt?
Best goal in an Arsenal shirt. It's got to be Spurs. That individual brilliance. The Liverpool goal where he seats Carragher is just was something like no else. The goal against Real Madrid was monumental. My actual favourite Henry goal. He scored 2 goals in very close. Very close apart, but against City and the other time against Villa. But do you remember that old Nike football Smugs, the blue and gold one with the trim that was like, and they used to complain about the way in which it basically had no spin on it for a season. They had to change it. And he gets the ball on the apex of the box on the left-hand side from Cole, who pops it off, and he just gets it out of his feet and he hits this spear. And you basically just see the Nike tick for like 25 yards at the camera, and it just hits like the stanchion on the right-hand side. And I just don't know. I don't ever remember seeing like a shot like ever truer struck, because the ball does not move. It'll deviate in the air. It's just like, it's probably at the time was just like such a phenomenal advert for Nike, because Henry was a Nike athlete. And I loved that goal against City where he just puts it top right bins. Also loved his back heel against Charlton. That was so techie. Fucking hell, mate! Like, he's just scored 225 goals for us, and he didn't really score shit goals. So
it's so many good goals.
Yeah.
We could be here all night talking about his individual efforts. Yeah. If there's one Munich played by in January, who would it be?
I love this new kid. They've got Carl, or is it Lyle? This young kid they've got, he looks so exciting. He's I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got a Elise's gone there and just doing a madness. But what is he called? I think is it Leonard Carl? The young lad that's coming through there, or Kenneth Lyle. It's one of those two. What's he called? That's going to annoy me, so I want to get his name quickly. I know you're rushing through, but what is his name?
Munich.
He's this young winger, and he's exciting.
Yeah, Leonard Cole.
Yeah, mate. Wait till you. We're going to see him tomorrow night. Yeah, they've got to tuck him up quick time. This kid is a joke.
Interesting. Do you think
2008? Fucking hell, Smug. He's born in 2008. That makes me feel so old. That's a
well. When I was ready to say last time Tottenham beat us at the Emirates, Max Downing was 10 months old. There's a stat for you, mate. Do you think Arsenal had any quality in January, or do you think anyone will leave?
Yeah, I don't really think they need to. I think Jesus might go out. I think one or two players maybe even go out on 6-month loans. I think if all those players come back, that lad Hanu Denois, the striker, might go and get 6 months of football because I think he'll struggle for a bit of game time. And the only thing that I'd like to see him add is if just a really good opportunity in the central midfield that can play in that kind of left 8 pivot for Rice, a similar profile player to Rice. I'll tell you who I would put there, right? If we're just staying on this subject for 5 seconds to do Rice's job, but would go on the bench, would be Kobe Mainu.
Good option.
Because I think he'd be okay with not starting every game. But I don't think if Rio had to rotate out of Rice, I don't think he wouldn't be able to do his job in some capacity.
Yep. Good call. Good answer. Since Invincibles, when do you think truly we should have won the league and why? For me personally, I think the Leicester year was the one we should have won it.
Yeah, absolutely. Ozil and Sanchez were in just a ridiculous moment. We had under recruited with it was abundantly clear to see those two were in a mad moment, and we should have had Giroud went through a disgraceful kind of drop off in form for a guy who scored 130 goals for the club, and we should have won the Premier League that season, 100%.
Pete, you answered that question. I reckon we'll go for anyone generally. Rickard has gone. Who's our best player of the season so far?
Rice. Only because he's played every game, but Rice or Gabriel? Yeah.
Yeah?
I think so. Yeah. You disagree?
Nah, I absolutely agree. 100%. Next question. I was just looking this up. That's why I went a little bit quiet. I don't know if it's a Paul your answer question. So it was like, which brother duo are technically the only Trinidad and Tobago internationals to play for the Gunners?
Which brothers?
Which brother, yeah.
Is it the Hoyts?
Yeah, good answer. Probably is the Hoyts, isn't it? Yeah, probably is the Hoyts. I'll have a look at that one. I'll look that one up. Good shout. Who's the best player who didn't make it during his time at Arsenal but did elsewhere? Yeah.
Oh, got to be Serge Gnabry.
Yeah. Never know why we give him to Tony Pulis. Still.
Sold him for £5 million. Mental.
I know. Who has been this season's unsung hero?
I think in the last week or two, everyone started talking about Timber, but until then, for the last 18 months, Julian Timber, without a shadow of a doubt. But if it's not him because he's starting to get his plaudits, it probably is Calafiori or Trossard. Actually, I would probably say it will be. Trossard scores important goals for us, mate. Look what he did at Fulham. Broke the deadlock for us there. Come in, we were struggling against Atletico Bilbao. Comes in, bang, sets one up, scores one. Breaks a deadlock against Spurs, sets another Eze goal up. Mate, he's so efficient on numbers, Trossard. For 22, 23 million quid, for pound, he would be the best signing in Arteta's era. For pound.
Cool. Just saying, where will Nwaneri, MLS, and Downham ultimately play position-wise in the future?
I think Downham. I think Miles may end up moving into a 6 role, but I think he has got a bit of a Reece James about him. Maybe someone who could easily play in, or Trent, this modern day fullback who could easily play in midfield, but will probably play at fullback from an attacking perspective. I think Nwaneri, potentially on the journey he's on, would be the natural successor for Odegaard in a left-footed right 10. And I actually think the difficulty for Arsenal is going to be that Dalman is the same. I think he will. I think he's 5'10", 5'11" now, and he's quite solid, and he's 15 years old. So I think they think that he probably ends up inside, but it wouldn't be a surprise if he ends up being like a Gareth Bale and just being like a 6'1" winger who if he remains as explosive but could also be physical, it'd be a nightmare for a winger. So he could end up in a right left-footed 10 or a right wing, but they're not a million miles away from the positions that they're going to play. You know,
what position do you want to replace with, and which player?
I don't really want to replace anyone, but you know, it's abbreviations, isn't it, of like the kind of questions that we've already had. Like, you know, if you were bringing in a Haaland, you'd begrudgingly have to kind of accept that your number 9 gets replaced, but you know, it's not possible. So you know, if I could convince Mbappe to play left wing and have him play, you know, and have him at left wing, I'd have Mbappe at left wing. The team, you'll know this. The team has got so much good chemistry now that people are probably playing beyond their ability anyway, just because the team's in a great moment. So it'd be difficult to replace any of them with a massive household name and not think that it wouldn't disturb what they've got going on. I don't think, and I actually think Arteta likes being the biggest person in the club. So I don't think he'd let like an ultimate maverick style kind of personality come in there and just affect what he's just built.
No. Eze, hat-trick, which goal was best?
For me, the second one, the left foot. That's such a good finish, that. And he's just sold him down a river. I think they all think he's going right again. He shifts left and just pops it. It's such a clean strike on his weak foot.
What colour is North London?
Red.
Who scored the most goals at the Emirates Stadium?
Oh, okay, cool. That'd be one of that. Van Persie didn't score many at Highbury, so he'd be right up there. Aubameyang scored 90 goals for Arsenal, so he'd have 60 there. Sanchez scored 80. He'd have 40. Yeah, I think it probably is Van Persie.
I'll try and get the answers to that one.
It'd be Van Persie or Giroud, because they both scored 130 goals for the football club. Giroud played his entire Arsenal career at the Emirates. Van Persie had fucking hell, mate.
Robin Van Persie.
There you go. Yeah.
The overall top goal scorer for this venue is Robin Van Persie, who's netted 45 times in the Premier League.
I said 45. There you go.
Yeah. Great shout that was, mate. Absolutely brilliant. Do you think Raya is Arsenal's best goalkeeper ever? If not, who do you think it was?
Best goalkeeper ever?
Yeah, for Arsenal.
No, I mean, he's great. He's got to be Seaman. Like,
Dave, mate. Oh, mate, love Big Dave.
Yeah, me too.
Who do you think starts as striker in the biggest games once Kai and Victor's back? Healthy competition for places.
Mate, you know me with Victor, mate. You'll always have my heart with Victor. So, like it'd be. It's because it's not just because he's goal for it. He does so much more for the team, and I think I'm a bit early on calling that. But you just wait and watch him play more. You realise how much he adds to this team and everything else. You pointed it out in the last pod against Burnley what he did for the team, just other than his goal.
Superb. Would you trade this defence for the invincible defence?
No, I think this defence might run it close. There might be people you'd swap out, like you'd have Ashley Cole at left back. I think Timber might have Lauren's card.
Is this the best team since the Invincibles?
Yes. Yeah, it is, yeah.
How many goals will Gilchrist get this season? How many do you think he'll get next season?
Oh, I love that. I think in all competitions.
Yeah.
I think he might get 22 to 23 this year in all comps because he's missed some games now. And I think he might get close to 28 to 30 next year.
What is your favourite goal in the Premier League this year?
Favourite goal in the Premier League this year? Can't say that. Yeah. Gabriel versus Newcastle. Just being biased.
Yeah, cool. Right, two-parter from JS. What do you think Arsenal need to improve on at this stage in the league to secure the title? And what do you think Arteta is doing well, which is vital to continue to bolster the title charge?
Yeah, good question. In order to keep, mate. So the first part of that was, what do I think Arsenal have done well to get to this stage of the season? Is that what you said?
Yep.
Yeah. So what they've done very well at, other than just the blip against Sunderland, is see games out, and obviously the number of clean sheets that they've kept is monumentally astronomical. I tell you what, they have done very, very well this year, categorically different to previous title races, which everybody should be excited about, is we have been tested on 2 occasions now against proper opposition. City and Liverpool have dropped points. We went to Newcastle away, we won. City and Liverpool have dropped points. We've got North London derby, which there's no form in, right? It's a cup final. There's literally nothing there. And then we've gone and stuffed Spurs 4-1, and then they've just gone, fuck. Right, they're just not giving us they're not giving us an inch, and that is one of the most prevalent things of any team that goes and wins a title. When its competitors drop points, it capitalizes, and that is integral. What was the second part of the question, Smugs?
Second of all, what do you think Arteta is doing well, which is vital to continue to bolster the title charge?
Yeah, well, he is making it nigh on impossible for oppositions to score against us. Like, Spurs had one. Did they only have one shot on goal? I can't remember which was
I can't remember anything else in that game.
Yeah, but I don't reckon we've probably fielded more than 6 shots on goal in the last 10 games. So, let alone goals conceded. We conceded 2 against Sunderland, 1 against these lot, but then we had 8 or 9 clean sheets in a row. So fundamentally, when you break teams down, you make it impossible for them to score. You've got a footing in the game, and that is integral. We didn't like it last year because the football was a bit more boring. But when we actually have now spent some time bedding these players in, and we can go and play open play football the way we did, and still defend where we only ship 1 shot on goal, fucking hell, that is what he's done well. And obviously, to answer the first part of the question, which is a brilliant question, by the way, we have gone on and like when teams have opened the door for us, we've run straight through it, and that is the most exciting part for me. When people are a bit nervous, like you mentioned earlier, Smugs, in the ground, they shouldn't be really, because City and Liverpool dropping points. We go to Newcastle away, horrible game, bang, done. Spurs come to the Arsenal, they get dealt with, sent back down the lane. So, really good question. Probably front runner so far. What else we got?
We got, hypothetically, if Odegaard is fully fit for Chelsea, who starts at number 10, him or Eze, does this have implications for Mesut Ozil's status as club captain, that his place in the team is being questioned by a new summer signing, and does this have the effect on squad harmony?
What's Mesut Ozil got to do with it?
Sorry, it weren't Mesut Ozil, it was Odegaard. Sorry, I don't know why I said Ozil. Did I say that?
Yeah.
It's because I've seen it. It's because I've seen him, innit?
Oh, right. Yeah. Look, it is a good question. I don't. I think probably the person that it potentially affects the most is Trossard. I don't think Arteta drops Odegaard. He would definitely take his time bringing him back into the team. So I don't, even if I don't think he will be. How many games has he missed, Smugs? 8, 9?
Yeah, I think he'll easy back. Like, if you remember Chelsea last year, Odegaard had to come straight back in that team, didn't he? Where I think I think he'll be on the bench, but I think he'd be an absolute asset to have come on in the last 20 minutes.
Massively. Yeah, he's definitely going to want to come into the team, but they can take a bit of time now to bed him back in. He's better in the squad than not, definitely.
He's not needed to be rushed back in.
But they've also got an opportunity to bed him back in now, haven't they? Where they can change the way we set up, which will change the dynamic of the opposition. Because if they bring him back into the 10, which is a naturally left-footed player who favours the right side, and then they say, let's just say that Trossard was a person who comes off the pitch, they shift Eze left. right? Then you've got a fullback now who's got to go from someone who can go outside in Trossard, who goes outside quite a lot because he's quite two-footed, to Eze, who comes in your inside flank. Then your centre-half gets pulled across. That's good because Gyökeres then gets a window of space. Odegaard and Saka have got one less issue. So it gives him options to then go and disrupt the opposition as well. And then until he's fully match fit where he can start games. And when he is fully match fit, Odegaard, he will start games. But lo and behold, good question as well. He'll be fucking under pressure to go and do something now because Odegaard's got so you got me doing it now. Eze's going to put down a proper marker saying, yeah, by the way, when there's a big game to affect, this is how you do it. And he goes and gets that trick.
Exactly. Now, that is all the questions. So
okay.
that took a good 45, 50 minutes to go through all them questions. There's a lot of questions there that you've gone through.
Yeah.
Have you got a winner?
Yeah. The last, I don't know if you just naturally saved maybe the best two till last. The quiz questions were quite tough, trying to get caught out a bit there. Tried to have a pants down, haven't they? I'll be fucking buzzing if that Hoyt's the right answer. I've got a sneaky feeling it is, but
let me have a look. Hoyt, Trinidad.
Because his brother played for Arsenal as well. Gavin and Justin, if my memory serves me well.
Yep, it was Gavin and Justin.
Come on,
get on that. Gavin and Justin, Hoyt.
I should get a shirt for that. That's Tekka's knowledge. I won't.
Mate. That's good knowledge. Just let yourself down with the Wimbledon one.
Yeah. Last two.
Mate, that's a good guess, mate. Well, not even a guess. That's a good answer.
The question before about Arteta and what he's done in order to make us kind of look more like title challengers. I think it was the one before the last question. The last two are really good, but that one, who was
JS?
that? Yeah, that was good. I think we'll go with that as our winner.
So our winner today is JS, obviously with his winning question. So well done, mate. We'll get that organised. You are the winner of our Eze shirt today. So congratulations. And obviously thank you once again for obviously putting that up today, Jimbo.
Yes, mate, absolutely. Yeah, there's nothing better than giving back to a community that's supporting us and whilst we find our feet with a new show. So thank you to everybody who tunes in, everybody who supports Smuggo's movement with all the shows that he does. Again, Alan, Ruth, Clock. By the way, Clock asked the fun. Like he should get I'm going to think of something to send to Clock, but he should get the funniest prize because I don't know if you see earlier. He messaged me and says, "My question is, Jimbo, can I have the shirt?" Which properly tickled me.
I did actually see that. I did see that one.
Yeah, definitely get him a bag of Haribo or a burger at a game because that was proper funny. But to all these guys who just continue to support your movement, Smugs, and what you're doing, and the small part that I can play with it, it's great. So, having so much fun doing this, obviously in a season where we're in a really nice moment as well. I think I can speak on behalf of the both of us how grateful we are to everyone who takes time to listen in. Yeah,
definitely. And again, at least 300 people have dropped in tonight. That will obviously increase over the night into tomorrow as people come home and drop themselves in to have a listen. So thank you very much, as we always say. We really appreciate you guys spending your time listening to us talk football, talk Arsenal, and obviously, and we've obviously had some free giveaways in the first 2 weeks. So, really good to see. And good to see some good gooners profiting out of that. So, no, thank you, everyone. Obviously, thank you very much, Jim. Great show again tonight, mate. It was always going to be a great one after the weekend. But hopefully we can keep it going over the next week.
Absolutely. We'll take credit for being the lucky charm of the club at the moment, shall we? So let's say, hopefully we've got a couple more good ones to speak about next week. Big week now for us. Bayern, Chelsea ahead of a big week of Brentford and Villa next week. So a lot to go through next Tuesday for sure. But up the gun and let's get it done this week.
Absolutely up the gun. As Jim just said, rightly so, we've got 2 massive games coming up tomorrow and on Sunday against Bayern Munich and Chelsea. But look, the games don't stop there. As he said, next week we will be reviewing the games that obviously just previously gone through in terms of the Munich and Chelsea games, but we will be looking ahead to a big week where we'll obviously be going to Brentford at the Emirates on a Wednesday night and then away to Villa Park for a Saturday lunchtime kickoff. So obviously we'll see you next week, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Cheers, guys.
And as always, up the Arsenal. Good night.